Good evening, friends. Jai Hind to all of you. On the intervening night of 14th and 15th August 1947, when Pandit Nehru declared, "At the stroke of midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India wakes to light and freedom." Though we became independent, but this freedom was not free. It came at a huge cost. We had been partitioned into India and Pakistan. It was accompanied by a lot of bloodshed, mass migration ever seen in history, and communal riots on both sides of the Red Cliff. This was not the biggest problem faced by the founding fathers of our nation. In fact, the real problem at that time was the integration of 565 or so princely states into the Union of India. In our earlier lecture, we have studied the role played by India's first Home Minister, Iron Man, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and how his diplomatic smarts and astute leadership helped India integrate. In our today's lecture, we are going to study the story of the integration of two of the most important princely states of Junagadh and Hyderabad into the Union of India. So let's understand. But before that, just a trivia fact here. So we have to know that the first princely state to accede into the Indian Union was the Jamkhandi state. It was one of the Maratha princely states in the British Indian Empire. Now let's try to understand the various dynamics that were involved in the integration of Junagadh into the Union of India. So Junagadh, a princely state situated in Gujarat, in the coastal state of Gujarat, as we can see in the map here. So this state was ruled by, at that time, by Nawab Muhammad Mahabat Khan Ji III. He and his ancestors have ruled in Junagadh and other surrounding principalities for around 200 years. So they had a huge ancestral heritage in this princely state of Junagadh. But the important fact that we have to understand here is 80% of the population in this state of Junagadh was Hindu population. So obviously there was going to be a challenge to integrate the state into the Indian Union. So we have to understand here that the Muslim Nawab Muhammad Mahabat Khan Ji III had affinity. He had affinity towards Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and he wanted to join the Pakistan Union. In fact, interestingly, you must be surprised to know that initially the Nawab had acceded to Pakistan on 15th or 5th of September 1947. So this was a huge setback to Sardar Patel and VP Menon, who had not anticipated such a thing. But at the same time, we have to understand the people of the state, they did not want to join the Pakistan Union. So they rose in rebellion against the Nawab. And eventually, this forced the Indian state to send its troops to the state of Junagadh, and eventually the state of Junagadh was overtaken by the Indian Union. There is an interesting story. When the Nawab of Junagadh, he flew to Pakistan, so he took his favorite dog with him. He left many of his prized possessions, but his beloved dog, which was dear to the Nawab, he took it with him. And later on, a plebiscite was conducted in the state, and the state overwhelmingly decided to accede into the Indian Union on February 1948. So, thus, the first challenging state, the first of the three problematic states, when most of the other states had acceded to the Indian Union, Junagadh integrated into the Indian Union and became a part of India. Now, after Junagadh, we have to let's understand the dynamics that were involved in the state of Hyderabad. Now, the princely state of Hyderabad, it was one of the richest princely states at that time. So it belonged to the Asaf Jah dynasty. Which had ruled this state of Hyderabad for quite some years now. So the current nawab at that time was Nawab Osman Ali Khan, Nizam Osman Ali Khan, beg your pardon, Nizam Osman Ali Khan. So one more interesting thing about the state of Hyderabad is it was one of the only princely states which had its own currency. So here we can see this is a 5 rupee note of Hyderabadi state. So just to give you an illustration. Also, the state of Hyderabad was a natural ally, was a trusted ally of the British, and had actively sabotaged India's freedom struggle during the pre-independence era. Now, next, let's understand the dynamics, how the chronology of the accession of the state evolved. So, on June 11, 1947, the Nizam had declared himself to be an independent country. He declared the Hyderabad state to be an independent country. At the same time, there had been overtures from Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the first Governor General of Pakistan, who wanted the Nizam to join Pakistan. However, here also we had a majority Muslim Hindu population, and again the ruler Asaf Jah VII, Nizam Osman Ali Khan, he was the last Nizam, he was not in favor of joining India. His problems were compounded by the weak army that he had. Also, there was a Telangana rebellion at that time. So this is a royal procession of the 6th Nizam, the Nizam prior to this, 6th Nizam of Hyderabad. His royal procession in all the elephants and huge luxury he used to live. Here we can see the throne of the emperor, throne of the Nizam in the Chomala Palace in Hyderabad. So it was very difficult for Nizam to let go of his luxurious lifestyle and his rule over one of the richest princely states of that time. And there is one important fact also, in the Times magazine, 1930s, the Nizam had featured as one of the wealthiest people in the world. So the rebellion, when the Telangana rebellion that started in the state of Hyderabad, communal riots erupted, lot of violence was there. The Razakar army, the private army of the Nizam, it did lot of oppression on the local people. So eventually, the government of India led by Sardar Patel that time, who was given the task of integration, Sardar Patel had petitioned, in fact he had asked the Nizam to accede into the Union of India and so that it is easily, the integration process easily done. But he would not agree to what Sardar Patel said, and eventually a lot of violence happened and Indian government was forced to act and Operation Polo was launched. So on 13th of September 1948, Operation Polo was launched, which is also known as police action, by which the Indian military troops, they entered into the state of Hyderabad and defeated the Nizam army, and eventually the Nizam capitulated on 17th of September 1948, and we see eventually the state of Hyderabad acceded into the Union of India. So here we can see in the picture at that time Major General Sayyid Ahmad Al Adrus. On the right we see here, he surrenders his Hyderabadi state forces to the then Major General and later General, and also went on to become an army chief, Jayanto Nath Chaudhary at Sikandrabad headquarters. So this was how we see in both the states of Junagadh, as well as Hyderabad, in both Junagadh and Hyderabad, Indian government intervention headed by Sardar Patel, who is also known as Iron Man, led to the accession of these states into the Union of India. While we see Junagadh, we initially asked him to cancel his instrument of accession, which he signed with Pakistan. Instrument of accession that the Nawab of Junagadh signed, but he did not agree, and people also revolted, and eventually the Nawab had to flee to Pakistan, Karachi. He went to Karachi with his beloved dog as well. On the other hand, in case of Hyderabad, the Nizam wanted to remain independent. He did not want to accede to Pakistan even. He wanted to remain independent. Now we have to understand one thing. See, this is a map of India. Let's quickly draw a map of India and try to explain how the independence of Hyderabad would have been an issue. See, so this is broadly the area where the then princely state of Hyderabad was. Right? Now, if in the middle of India, we have an independent country. That would have been antithetical to India's security concerns. It could be used to feud revolts and violence against the state. As well as we can see that Pakistan, so here the state of Pakistan, it could have intervened, tried to influence the Hyderabadi Nizam later on, and it would have been challenges to India's, what we say, sovereignty and integrity. So this was not at all a desirable step. So eventually this is a picture of Pandit Nehru, the Nizam of Hyderabad, Osman Ali Khan, and J.N. Chaudhary, the then army major general who was heading the operations. So this is briefly, we have understood how the two princely states of Hyderabad and Junagadh acceded into the Union of India. In our next lecture, we will understand how one of the most challenging and strategically critical princely states of Jammu and Kashmir acceded into the Indian Union. Till then, it's keep well, and do share your feedback regarding this video series. We will try to make this process a more regular affair because of certain commitments could not come with the second video. Apologies for that. We will be making it a more regular affair in the coming weeks. So stay tuned and keep watching this space for more edutainment content, especially for those aspirants preparing for different examinations, as well as those who are interested in the world of intelligence, internal security, as well as certain historical standpoints that have shaped not just the future or the Indian civilization, but as well as the landmark steps in the history of the world. Thank you, friends. Coming up in the last episode of this 3-lecture video series is the accession of the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir.